friends, welcome back to the Open Draft. This is a place for real, honest, raw storytelling. It's a place for us to just talk to each other like we're around a campfire, just one-on-one, having conversations about life, about healing, about reinvention, about returning to ourselves. I've been writing quite a few stories lately, and a lot has been coming up from my childhood. So I wanted to talk about creativity and how we sometimes hide our creativity to feel safe, or sometimes it gets somewhere hidden below all the hurt and stuff that we go through, and then we actually rediscover it. So for me, it was writing, but actually, I was a child who we had a very long passageway at home. I was a child that changed her clothes 4 times a day. I used to model down the passageway, the runway. I used to write plays and act them out, and it was just me. I didn't have any friends. I had an imaginary friend in the mirror, but I used to write these plays, and I used to change my clothes, and I used to act it out, and I had like a one-man theater show going on. But at some point, I got sent to a very strict boarding school, one where I didn't feel comfortable in it because I was wildly creative, but it didn't feel safe to be yourself at the boarding school because there was a uniform for everything. There was a time you had to do stuff. Your whole day was structured. Everything in my life was structured. And I felt more like I had to pare myself back to fit in. Like it felt safer to be quieter, to not be noticed, to be hidden, to fit in. Well, to be honest with you, I felt like we were being raised to be really good, polite Stepford wives who didn't question anything, who followed the rules. I mean, when someone older walked by, we had to stand up and greet them. There was definitely a hierarchy, and you learned to play the game and follow the rules. There was a rule for everything. And I think that stifled my creativity. And of course, it didn't help that I came from that structured environment, and then a home where there was some alcohol abuse and it was chaotic. So from structure to chaos, I didn't quite know where to fit in these two worlds. One was too stifling and one was too crazy. Like there were no rules, there was nothing going on. And it was difficult to straddle these two places. And I think a lot of us actually go through this. So I just want to talk about it today because I feel like a lot of us, even with social media these days and with AI, we hide our own creativity. We don't trust our own voices. We don't write our own scripts. So I'm really here just to say this is just me, one-on-one, doing it live with you, going through the process with you. I'm here if you feel lonely and alone, because I know in this world where we're all on social media and we all just talk online, no one's actually picking up the phone or going to see their friends in person and hanging out and having fun. It can get really lonely, and I want this to be a safe space for us to grow and to heal and to talk about anything, because that's me. Hey, very open to talk about anything. And I just wanted to say that, you know, going through all of this, for so many years I performed. I felt like I played a role, like I had to be the good girl, I had to be quiet. I didn't feel safe to raise my voice or to ask questions because communication was also not a big thing growing up. And I felt like you start to edit yourself in small ways, but in the bigger picture of your life, it actually becomes a lot of editing. And by the time you get to like your 20s, when you're trying to figure yourself out, you don't really know who you are. And then you go through your 30s as well, being, okay, who am I and what do I like? If you're constantly performing, you're not being authentic to who you are, and you actually start forgetting parts of yourself. And that's where I am now. I'm like late 40s now, and I'm remembering parts of myself. I'm remembering stories, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to be like that. I used to love that. I love that. I'm going to do that. It's about finding or rediscovering the joys that you had. And I'm starting to do that with writing. I write weekly. I keep a newsletter. But also in that, I'm trying not to get caught up in numbers, in how many people are following me. I just want an authentic space where I have people who actually subscribe to it, who like reading, who want to read it, who feel like they're learning something from it. I'm not into big numbers and chasing a numbers game. I just feel like that's too exhausting. I'm more in a slow living, doing things slowly, doing things that feel aligned with who I am and where I am in my life. I'm mid-40s, I'm in midlife. Like, I've already lived through a whole lot, which I am writing about as well. Going through life feeling a bit lost and not having any direction and not having anyone to talk to about that. But then rediscovering myself again through decisions that I made for myself. And I think that you actually have to start doing that. You lose pieces of yourself, and the only way you rediscover them or find them again is when you start deciding things for yourself, not leaving it up to other people to decide for you. I got back to my writing because I was living in South Korea, which was a huge decision that I made for myself. I'd walked out of a relationship that wasn't working. I'd been single for a year. I knew that I always wanted to travel, but I also wanted to work and earn money while traveling. I didn't want to backpack. When I made the decision to go to Korea, if you ever feel like you're behind, I was 34 at the time. For a woman at a time when I should have, according to society, been getting married and having kids, and I decided, well, I'm going to blow up my life. I'm going to buy a one-way ticket. I'm going to get this teaching certificate, and I'm going to Korea, and I'm doing this. And it was honestly the best decision I made for myself. And it was in all the uncomfortable moments I had in Korea, like coming out of my shell and having to teach, which I loved. A lot of teaching is especially when you're teaching young kids, which is what I did, is about performing and acting. And in that, I rediscovered, oh, I actually liked the theater. I liked performing. I liked acting. I liked drama. So in teaching, I was coming back to myself. And then one day in my tiny little matchbox apartment in Daegu, on my yellow tiled floor, I sat there and I was like, I'm going to start a blog and I'm going to write. And I did. And the first blog I wrote was called Elvis Is Not My Father. And it's because my name is Lisa Marie. And side note, my mother loved Elvis and named me Lisa Marie because his daughter was named Lisa Marie. And I wrote. And the first article I wrote was I'm No Jane of the Jungle. And it was all about dating in Korea, and I was relating men to animals, and it was funny, and it was irreverent, and it was just like light. And I put it out there. But before I hit the publish button, I sat and I stressed and I started sweating over what I had written, and fear took over my body. Like, I can't tell you how long I sat and reread and edited and reread, and I was like, am I actually going to push this publish button? And it took everything within me to push the publish button. And once I did, it was out there. And strangely enough, like, so many people reacted positively to it. They laughed, they loved it, they responded. And I was like, wow, okay, I found my thing again. I found my creativity, my writing. So I continued to write and rediscover that, you know what, that's the thing that I love to do. And it wasn't edited. I had no formal training in writing. I didn't know anything about hooks and stuff like that. I just remember writing history. You had to write an intro, a main, and a conclusion. And I just wrote freely. I wrote how I spoke. I wrote, like, another personality almost came out of me when I was writing, and I loved it. It felt natural. And that blog was successful. And I continued to write, and I still continue to write now. Obviously, I've tried different things, but healing happens in the creativity. You find your voice again, and you learn that it's safe to be creative. It's safe to be you, to share. And I think that's the most important point that I want to make to you. Like, if I look back at my life, I just wanted you to know, like, I'm 48. I've just started working for myself. Also, a long dream that I have to start my own business, and I just started doing it now at 48. So I've started writing, I've started my own business, I've started being more creative, I've started finding joy again. And I just want to say to you that it's never too late. And trust me, if you look at me, it's not too late. You can start over, you can rediscover yourself, you can find yourself, you can build or create the life that you want for yourself now, and it starts now. And if you have any questions or you need help with anything, or you need to know, like, how did I do these things? Because listen, I've gone through quite a few reinventions. I'm never afraid to say, well, this is not working and I'm going to try something else. And I've always trusted that things will work out for me, and they have. And I just wanted you to know that, you know, you don't have to earn happiness. You don't have to earn anything. You are enough as you are. You are a creative being. You don't have to hide it. Share it with the world. Be open. And yeah, that's just my message for today. So leave a comment, drop a comment, subscribe if you want to follow along on this unscripted journey of midlife. And if this resonated with you, I do have a newsletter, a Substack, where you can follow along with that. But you're welcome here just as you are, because I'm coming just as I am, with the oohs, the ahs, the ums, the hesitations. But I'm here, and I want to be here talking to you.